Hold on, wait. Did I see you at the Only and Living Experience last year? You didn't come? Let me show you what it was all about. There is nothing else like this. This is the only real estate experience that's made for us. Yeah, you and me. And not just you and me, brown people, faith-driven people. I mean, not only was it an experience, but they learned tangible advice. Plus, we had an amazing time. And guess what? I don't want you to experience any more FOMO. I want you to be there in the building this year. And I'm about to drop all the details for the Only and Living Experience 2025, and you will not want to miss this. Plus, I am gonna offer an exclusive sweet discount for the early bird folks who grab their tickets. So if you don't want to miss out this year, and if you want to take advantage of a very, very good bonus, I'm going to need you to do this right now. I'm going to need you to go to the episode show notes today, right now, join the wait list so that you don't miss out when tickets drop. I got it? Let's do it now. Now let's head back to the episode. What if you work because you wanted to, not because you had to? I remember when every decision I made was dictated by my job that I needed to survive. One of the things that I love most about my life is that I get to decide what I show up for. And let me tell you, that kind of freedom is worth everything, okay? If you desire that same level of autonomy, I want to personally invite you to my free training, How to Make Work Optional. It's about building a step-by-step plan to use real estate as a tool to help you create the life that you desire. I'm breaking down the exact steps you need to replace your income with real estate, how much you actually need to become work optional, and lastly, the 3 different paths to financial freedom. If you've been waiting for a sign that it's time to start building your exit plan, this is it, y'all. This live training is taking place March 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you can't make it, no worries. We'll send you the replay. I want you to tap the link in the show notes right now to save your seat and start taking control of your financial future. All right, see you later. And I think that these are conversations that really should be talked about more, because this is what you really need to be focused on. A person's wealth is determined by their assets, investments, and things that they own. I say true wealth is about how you live it. Your girl is back. Welcome to Wealth Within Reach. Welcome back to another episode of Wealth Within Reach. And today's topic is a really good one, y'all. We don't talk enough about the mindset shift and what's really required to make that transition from corporate America to entrepreneurship. You think that it's laid out all like this and it's planned and it's this and it's like the right time and the circumstances are perfect, and that's not always the case. So I was just talking to my guest today, and we were like, we need to take this on the podcast. So we have back Jessica, my podcast producer, founder of EPYC Media. Mm-hmm. Welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
Welcome back. Which episode was that? I don't remember, but we're going to put it in the show notes.
We'll drop it in the show notes, and that was all about gender roles. And,
yeah.
Yep.
Y'all got to go back and check that
High
one
achieving
out.
women and the expectations and the people we're pissing off.
Oh, yeah. Y'all got to go back and watch that one.
Yep.
So we always having interesting conversations about all the things.
Yes, absolutely.
And
it is my job to know everything about you.
Absolutely. You know, the theme this season is really helping people to see the different ways that people have made the transition. Yep. And the reason why I even decided to focus this season was I hosted a webinar last year called How to Retire Early from Real Estate, and it sold out.
Wow.
It was wild. The response was like, I was like, oh, okay, y'all tired. Okay.
People are tired.
Y'all tired. Y'all want some options.
We're like, when does it end?
Right.
How do I get out?
How do I get out? So I was like, okay, the people want to know how. And right. I have been blessed and, living in Atlanta, I've been an entrepreneur. Yep. So many entrepreneurs who have made the transition. And so we're in the kitchen. And I'm asking you, like, how did you start your company? And you started telling me I was like, oh no, the people got to hear that. The people got to hear that, because what do they think, Jessica? How do they think it happens?
I think that we're so overbeared with content online about like have a 6-month plan, have a 3-month plan. I mean, I had a mentor that was like, don't you even think about it without 6 months savings, because in normal life, you should have a 3-month savings that can carry you for 3 months if you were to get laid off or lose your job.
Right.
But if you dare think you're going to quit your job, you better have 6 months saved.
Yes.
And she had given that to me several times. And so I think what we hear online from people that are already at the place that have arrived where we think we should be, whether that is entrepreneurship, investor level, angel investor level, that you should have a very specific plan executed, a certain amount saved. You should have a safety net. You should be prepared. You should have the least amount of expenses. You should have your debt paid off. And I think that that is in a very perfect world. And
perfect world.
I think the thing that you and I kind of came to is like, as two entrepreneurs, I'm hitting year 7, you're 10 years 10, in, that we don't really know any entrepreneurs that
I've actually done that.
That did that. We don't know any. I don't know any.
Right. And I think in addition to helping you guys to normalize that and see that, we're going to talk about our story, but also what I think we should really break down to the people is, here's what they say that you need to have, but here's what you really need to have.
Correct.
To do it, to thrive in it, to be able to survive.
Absolutely.
I think that's what's most important.
Correct. Yeah. I immediately can think of one thing that is very important that I think has like staged itself throughout my 7 years of entrepreneurship. But,
I love it. Okay. So you 7 years in.
Yep.
So what were you doing before you started your own company?
Yeah. So let me lay this out, because this is fun, because I think like entrepreneurs also have a bad rap for like their background. So I have a master's degree and MBA and master's in business with a focus in nonprofit management.
Love it.
So my entire background was in nonprofits. I was actually raised in a rec center. So I was raised in a rec center, and I literally look at my mentor one day and I'm like, she's like, well, what are you going to go to college for? And I was like, I don't know. I want to do what you do. And she's like, well, and she shows me that there's degrees in this. My bachelor's is actually in recreation and leisure services admin.
Wow.
Because I wanted to run youth programs out of like rec centers or YMCAs and stuff like that, which is funny because I'm speaking at a YMCA leadership conference in 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Which was what I was trying to do
back then.
As a product to excite their leaders. You're helping kids this age because you're going to get people that look like this, which is ironic.
Yes.
I wanted to be like her. I was just like, I want to run youth programs. I want to be helpful. I want to be impactful. And then I ended up doing that through a series of like, I worked for recreation departments. I ran summer camp programs at rec centers. And then I eventually transitioned into workforce development. And then after workforce development, right before I ended up becoming an entrepreneur, accidentally, which was like you always mentioned, it was never my dream. I always say I look at my life right now and I'm like, there was no vision board that was like, I want this life, I want it this way, I want to live life on my own terms. Never.
You could have showed me my life and I wouldn't have believed you.
I would have been like, that's a joke. You're kidding.
What? No, legit.
I don't have the courage to do that.
I would have not believed seeing my own life.
Which isn't that so funny, because then I always say this of like, plan. That's what everyone online is telling you. Plan. And you do need to plan. And you also need to have the space to pivot.
Yeah.
Because I could have never conceptualized what my life is, like you just said. And so I would have, had I been so committed to a plan, I would have been so far off for what God had for me. Yeah. So if you don't have the willingness and the space and the mindset to be like, something's happening here, something's changing, God's calling me to do something else, you miss the whole thing.
You miss it.
Because this all happened by accident. There was nowhere you can't find a white paper or a vision board where I was like, I am going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to make millions.
Same.
Never. My final role is I am working for a national nonprofit, and they have discovered that I can be their mouthpiece. They're like, oh, you have a voice. You're great at this. You tell stories really well.
Yeah.
So I become their national partnership development director, which means I basically go around to the potential partners, tell the story of the organization we were working with at-risk youth, and get them to fund projects.
Yes, get them to give you the money.
Give the money. So I'm doing that. End up starting a podcast on the side because I am dating my son's father. At the time, I was dating a guy who was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And this life started to get to me. So I'm seeing it in front of me. And I remember like I would go, 50% of my job was travel. Yeah. If I was going, I would go to South Carolina and these places. But if I was going a really cool place, he would be like, oh, I'll come. Yeah. And I'd be like, what are you going to do? He'd be like, I don't know, work from the beach or something.
It's like, but you can come.
You can come.
Wow.
And I would be in Miami working all day. Yeah. Like excited to go to dinner that night with him in like a cute city. Yeah. And he'd be working on the beach. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Wait, what?
What is this?
Wait, you can work on the beach?
It's like, it just opens up a whole nother
It
option.
was exposing me to a whole new option.
Yeah.
And so as I'm going through this, I'm not making a plan to get out.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, okay, I would like to kind of like play in this arena. So I started a podcast. I explored coaching. So I started like being more visible at coaching, all the things. And of course, I come to this pinnacle point where I'm like, I'm in year 5 of my job, my corporate job. I'm not loving it. I can see where they're not going to really give me a lot of space to grow. I'm being asked to do more for less, basically. And I go back and get my master's while I'm there. I've just finished that. And I'm like, I see where that hasn't done anything besides cost me more money.
Right. A lot more money.
Yes. So I get this MBA. I'm in this role. I'm being asked of more. I'm being paid less. And then the bug starts to hit me. I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready. Like, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. So I go on this journey of like, I'm going to acquire more coaching clients. Yeah. So let me just paint this picture for you vividly. I have also had a child at this time who was a micro preemie, we almost lost him, all these things. Yeah. So my son is 6 months old. I am coaching probably 5 clients on finding their passion and creating a product or service that they can sell. I have a full-time job, and like, this ain't no play full-time. I'm a director of at a nonprofit, a national nonprofit.
Which means a lot of
45
extra time
locations
outside of the 9 to 5.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not a 9 to 5er. I'm available when they need me.
Right.
So I am scheduling calls with my clients between 5 and 9. I'm taking care of my 6-month-old. I am trying to make the money. And I just remember every month I'm probably making $1,200 to $1,500 a month. And not at the nonprofit, but on the side coaching.
Yes.
And I'm doing the podcast, which is like, at the time, not making me money. It's just creating more visibility.
Yes.
Also, I had at this time implemented women's events because I was like, I need to get these women in a room and be able to, this money's coming out of my pocket. I'm doing women's events. It's getting bigger. I'm on my 3rd. Yeah. So I am in this conundrum of like, I can see what I can do, but I don't have any more time.
Yep.
So to me, the answer is clear. I think I remember going to my ex at the time and going, okay, if I just had more time, which means get rid of this full-time job, I can double down on the coaching. I can double down on the women's events, and I can turn this into like $3,000 to $4,000 a month, which is really all I need, because that's what I'm making at my corporate job, like $4,000 a month. I was making like $70,000.
Our old goals.
Oh, my old goals.
$3,000 or $4,000 a month.
This is what we were talking about. About starting somewhere, like small. Yeah. We thought, I was like, if I could just pay my bills, if I could just pay my bills without having to go to that place, we're talking about something. And I remember him saying, you're not ready yet. And the not ready yet to me was what you and I were talking about. I want to point that out because that's what someone is envisioning, is like, I don't have 3 months savings. And that's what I thought he meant. I was like, because I'm not making enough money. And so I am battling this argument of like, well, I can't make $3,000 a month with a full-time job. I have no more. Here's my schedule. Right. I can't take any more coaching clients. Right. So when I get my job out of the way, I can make more. And he's like, it's not the money. You're just not ready yet. And I'm like, I'm angry. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
so what do you think he meant?
So I go in and I remember it was like October. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm thinking this through for weeks. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not ready yet? I'm not ready yet. And like, how do I double down on the money? How do I need to save more money? Like, I'm thinking about all this strategic.
And all the gurus are telling you these 2 steps you need to have. Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know what it was, but I'm sitting there one day and I realized like, oh, it's for sure the mindset. It's for sure that when I am on a sales call and someone says, I can't move forward with you yet, when that is what I'm dependent upon, I'm not going to be prepared for that. So what is going to make me prepared for that? Right. And he kept saying, you're not clear enough yet. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't have this whole strategy in place. I was ready to just throw it all out and figure it out. The funniest part about all of this is I actually didn't get any clearer when I made the move. Yeah. I just knew I had gotten to the point where there was no other option. Wow. And actually making the decision, the inevitable was, I was in my role in a moment that I knew clear as day. So that was October. I ended up quitting in March. Stuck it out, and we're in this meeting. We're being celebrated by Department of Justice on a speakerphone call with the team I work with, and they're like, "You guys just won this $5 million grant. Congrats!" They say all of our names. I can see how excited my boss is across from the table. Yeah. Also, by the way, my corporate job is very aware of what I do outside, and they're already getting a little pushy. They're getting a little like, I could also see these little signs of like, weren't celebrating me in certain situations, or they were like, oh, don't you have your little event this weekend? Like there's like this little, yes, there was like some sly things going on. And I was like, okay, y'all can see me. So I'm getting to the place of where like, I'm either going to have to get out.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine that worked with me at the time, who's still my friend, she said something really valuable to me. She said, I think you'll know you're done when you know you're empathetic, your work matters to you a lot. This used to be really impactful work for you. You'll know when someone can do your job better than you that it's time to go.
Yep. Exactly.
And I'm sitting this meeting, and I remember we had done this same grant 3 years ago. Yeah. And I remember I was through the roof that we had done this the first time. Yeah. And they're telling us, you got the $5 million grant again. We can't wait to meet with you guys again. Jessica spoke at the event last, this, and this as an expert. Like, we're so excited. And my boss is like, yep, Jessica's going to have a plan. What's the plan? And we're in this meeting, we're on speakerphone, and I have this moment that I come to, and I'm like, oh my God, I was thinking about what I was going to do for my coaching clients tonight.
Wow.
And I don't feel distracted.
Yeah.
I have this moment of like, that's actually all I care about.
Yeah.
I don't care about this anymore.
Yeah.
At all.
Wow.
And it shocks me through my body. And I'm like, and then I just have this moment where it is so clear. God, whatever it was like, oh, you're done. You are done.
This is it. This is
that moment. Yeah. That's what he meant by when you'll be ready. You'll know. He kept saying, you'll know. You'll know. And my boss gets up. She goes outside. And I have to follow her. Wow. Because I'm like, it's right now. Yeah. So I follow her outside, and I'm like, hey. And she's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, hey, I need to put my notice in.
And she's like, I'm sorry, what? What? You just helped win this $5 million grant? I'm sorry, what?
What?
Oh my gosh.
Because I helped to write it, but I'm the one that has to help. Yes. The plan is the most important part of the execution. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And she's like, right now? And I'm like, I can help you in whatever way you need. Yeah. And she's like, I need a month. Yeah. I think I told you this. The irony of it all is like a year before that, I had done a TEDx talk about the ripple effect of mentoring, because I'm a product of a mentoring relationship. And she was like, I need 4 weeks from you. And so when I put the paper in, my the executive team sends me back and says, okay, your last day is this day. And it's April 12th. And April 12th, the year before, was the exact date I had done the TEDx. Wow. Where I had really had this moment of like, I can see myself in this space. Yeah. And so I'm like, wow, like 2018, I did a TEDx. 2019, I quit my corporate job on this exact date. Wow. So it became like this really special. The Lord is like lining it up. But I knew in my body. So here's the funniest part. I tell everyone, no one had a greater quit your job celebration than me, because that was a Friday. Saturday, my birthday is April 15th. So my birthday was Tuesday. Wow. And so that weekend, all my friends had a birthday plan for me. Yeah. So I get to this dinner. I'm not married, nor am I engaged, but I had gotten engaged that weekend. Yeah. And I get a cake that says, you're engaged, you quit your job, you turned 30. So I was turning 30 too. Wow. So it's my 30th birthday. I'm 30. I'm engaged at the time. I quit my corporate job. Wow. You want to talk about milestones? I am setting off on a life's new journey. Wow.
All at the same time.
All at the same time. And when I say, everybody's like, girl, this is the best year of your life. Are you ready? Like, this is so great. And I told Erica, the funniest part about all of this was like, I was just living that weekend. Like, I was like, life's about to be,
it's about to be
amazing. Yes. And then I wake up on Monday morning. And I'm like, I remember calling my mom. My mom's like, this is, I'm back home, because she had come for the party and the engagement. And she's home, and I'm checking on her and all these things. And it's like 9:10. I make my coffee. I make my breakfast. I go back upstairs and sit at my desk. And I'm like,
what am I going to do?
Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What do I do?
What do you do?
Like, at this time, the clock has started ticking and my money is officially dwindling. If I don't make money every day, it's going. So girl, what are you going to do?
But they didn't say to prepare for that. They said to make sure you have that money, make sure you do this.
Let me tell you that will not remove the fear. It wouldn't matter how much money was in that bank account. The fear immediately kicked in of, you are now officially responsible for revenuing, bringing in money into this business. That will not only pay your bills, but that will pay the little part-time staff that you have, the 2 part-time staff that I had, that you have to keep this ball rolling, and you have no potentials. You have so now you got to get your tail out here and sell. It was cute.
Yeah.
When you were doing it and you had a full-time job and it was like, if
cute.
and when is cool.
It's real cute.
So now immediately I get into this like trajectory and like, okay, well, if I got 15 days left and I've done this and then I reach out to these people and I follow up and maybe I can close on these 2. Oh my God, that's only $2,000 a month. And then I was like, and I usually make this and my bills are this. And then I'm not. And it's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the part they don't tell you about. Like I tell my agents all the time, and I see the difference, you know, in the ones who have it and the ones who don't have it yet. And that mindset around how do I get it in the most efficient way, it's different. It's something that we need to prepare people for more than just the checklist.
I think the checklist, and I think even more so, do not be married to anything.
Right.
I was so committed during that time that I was going to be a coach.
Yeah.
I was going.
Yeah.
7 years later, I'm like, I would never coach somebody.
Yeah.
But I was going to be a coach during that time because I was just so into these certain things.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like be willing to pivot quick because I think you have to stay committed during certain times, stay in your lane, do the things that are important and double down.
Yeah.
But not being married to, I'm going to be this and it's going to happen this way.
Because it will change.
It will change it constantly. That if there was a number one mindset thing that I would, is that like, I always think about now the book 10X versus 2X.
Yeah.
You
great
will,
book. You
will have moments over and over again where you're like, oh my God, I can double down on a thing that's working.
Yeah.
But is it beneficial?
Yes. And should I do this? Should I double down on this?
Should I double down on this?
Yeah.
Because if I double down on this and okay, I double my income per se, is it even valuable from a margin, profitability, overhead standpoint? Because if I double down, I need more staff to do that. Versus the 10X is always going to require you to change.
Yeah.
It's going to require a different thought process, and when I think about the last 6 years, all I think about is a series of like doing a thing and it worked for a little while. And then I was like, okay, we need to change things.
Yeah.
Whether it is systems, processes, burn it down, build it back up, shift the way that you think, do something else, provide a different service, solve a different problem.
Yep.
Like entrepreneurship is a series of solving different problems.
Solving different problems over and over again. And then people change. Because basically we're solving the problems based on human behavior and people, but we are constantly evolving and changing as people.
Correct.
And so I think if anything, what we want people to realize is that in the same way you got to entrepreneurship by even being open, again, especially if you didn't have a plan to be an entrepreneur, if you had a plan like us to just go to school, do what they told me to do, get a job, do this. And now if what led you to entrepreneurship is being open to what God has for you versus just having this plan, then you have to keep that same thought process throughout entrepreneurship, being open. Because you may go in thinking that this is what you're supposed to do, and that ain't even a thing no more. Especially now with AI.
Yes.
And automations.
Yes.
Like I personally feel like the traditional role of a real estate agent will be not needed like it is in the next 10 years. And so we are going to have to evolve to not just necessarily, writing contracts and opening houses. We have to become experts in our industry. We have to be able to, replace and enhance AI, Google, all these things to be able to solve complex problems. And so you have to constantly be open and evolve. For me personally, and I'm sure you are the same way, because you mentioned having to constantly pivot to, problems. The problem that I have today is not the same problem I had 6 months ago.
6 months ago, 6 days ago, 6 weeks ago, 6 years ago.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And so whether it's real estate, whatever the business is, the problem is always changing and evolving. And you have to always constantly figure out what is my target client, whether it's a tenant, whether it is, a different type of client. What is my client's current pain point? What is their problem? And you have to be willing to constantly evolve.
I don't know why I thought of this analogy, but how like when you're working out and they're always like, it's all about your core strength, your core. Like your core has to be strong. Everything else works better.
Yeah.
I'm immediately thinking that the entrepreneurship muscle is not freaking out when there is a problem. Because your entire evolution and every iteration of you is just you figuring out complex problems.
Yeah.
Like I use the phrase that from Marie Forleo's book all the time. It's all figure outable.
Yeah.
It's all figure outable. There's not a thing at this point that could freak me out that I would be like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's come up with a plan.
Yes.
It's all going to be fine.
Yes.
Because that is the muscle that you must flex constantly that will be over exercised. I promise.
Yes. Yes.
Of like, okay, there is a new problem. And then always deciding, is this a one-time thing and do I take it with a grain of salt?
Yeah.
Or is this an opportunity for me to evolve my business,
Yeah.
provide a better service, provide a better experience,
Right.
solve a bigger problem?
Right.
Like every time a complex issue came up in my business and I got excited about it, I was like, that's a thing. The last problem I solved in 2021 was a client coming to me when we had something great from a podcast perspective. She had a great audience. She was doing phenomenal. And she comes to me and says, my business is booming. I'm traveling. I'm speaking all the time. I have a book tour. I can't commit to this podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can't leave 30,000 people on the table. Like this is like you throwing out a 30,000 people email list.
Right.
And she's like, well, I don't know what else to do because I can't get you an episode every week.
Yeah.
And this was me literally hanging up the phone with her and going, what if I just like come to her and I get her to film 4 episodes and I put a team together and I propose it to her via a text.
Yeah.
And she calls me immediately.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like this. How much?
So you telling me you didn't need to have
a business
20-step plan, a business plan, a website, a Google Drive with 10 folders.
I rebranded, no SOPs. I rebranded a year later.
Wow.
I rebranded a year later because we were just providing a service in post.
Yeah.
And then post-production, which was like everybody can get us the deliverables. And we just basically edit, make stuff look good and publish. We were like post and publishing.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I step into this? By the way, to this day, this is not, I don't know if this is good for me to say. I own a media company.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about cameras.
Yeah.
I don't.
No,
if someone said just set this up, we're screwed.
I don't know how to lay towel. I don't know how to I don't know how to lay towel. I don't know how to replace a roof. I don't know how to do a lot of different things. I don't even take out my trash.
But a lot of people can't coordinate and put the people together.
Right.
I
know how to come up with a text with a I know how to come up with a financing stack, with a capital stack.
Correct.
I know how to put the deal together. I know how to run the numbers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And she called me and she was like, so how much? I just threw a number out there.
Girl, that's good. That's good. Okay, now that I have you. Isn't that conversation so good? Aren't you ready to take it to the next level? If you're here and you've been binging all my YouTube episodes and you are ready to buy your first or next investment property, but you just don't know where to start. You just need help to figure out what exactly do I need to do based on my specific situation to figure out how to get to the next level. If that is you, I invite you, along with all of my mentees, to join us in my Pathway to Purchase Your First or Next Investment Property program. This program is so amazing. This is how you are actually able to work with me directly. Here's the beautiful part about this program. You pay one time and that's it. It comes with lifetime access. Everybody repeat, lifetime access. There is no renewal fees, no annual fees. You get access directly from coaching from me. Every 2 weeks, you're going to be able to chat with me, figure out what your specific situation is. I'm going to be able to help you overcome it. Plus, you have access to over 50 on-demand trainings that's going to walk you through everything. If you are just now learning about what all this real estate stuff means to I want to actually scale and buy my next multifamily property. It's going to teach you everything in between. And here's the best part. With the 50 plus on-demand courses, you aren't just learning from me. You're learning from the best and the best in the industry as well. You're learning from Dr. Joe about property management. You're learning from Dominique about out-of-state investing. You're learning from my top contractors on how to work with contractors. This program is so amazing. I even include checklists and SOPs and downloads. So if you buy a property and you have a tenant and you don't know what to do, guess what? There's a checklist for that. You're getting ready to do a renovation and you need a contractor contractor agreement, guess what? There's a contractor agreement with that. I'm able to basically just provide everything for you. Why start from scratch when you have access to a program that is done for you? You have the support you need and you have the community. I want you to join me in the pathway to purchase your first and next investment property program. And guess what? Because you listen to this podcast, I'm going to give you a little discount. If you go to the link in the bio or onlylivingit.com and you enroll today and hit P2P 500, I'm going to give you $500 off. Yes! I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Come join me. As you're talking, that reminds me of how I first got into real estate and didn't realize that I was just solving a problem. So even before we bought our first house, when we moved into our first house, when we got married, we were part of like this college ministry and whatever. And so there was all these like college kids that just needed a place to stay. And we had a house and we had an extra bedroom. And there was somebody who was like, hey, would you guys be willing to let me rent a room? I need a place to stay. And so the problem was someone needed a room that was affordable so that they can go to college and be able to stay in a safe environment. And they wanted to be around like a family. And we were like, yeah, sure. And so we made money by solving a problem.
And that right there.
That's it.
Yep. And then you work out the kinks from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I charged a girl. Wait for this. Because you screwed up the first couple times, didn't you?
Yeah. First. Oh. Yes. Yes. Big time.
You're also like strengthening the failure muscle. It's like,
you're getting better.
Expensive practice.
Yeah.
Like I charge her this amount that I literally come up with in my head. We get there. I have a phenomenal DP and team now.
Yeah.
But I randomly find a person that's like, yeah, I got the skill set for this. And I'm like, okay. I look at the portfolio. I'm like, cool. All right. I need you to partner with me. Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And we get there and we film 10 episodes, I think.
Wow.
And we come back. He gets me half. He starts ignoring me about the other half.
Okay.
Months go by. I start freaking out. I'm like, I charge this girl a price. I need the rest of the footage. We're missing 5 episodes. He finally calls me like right before Christmas and is like, something about he broke the hard drive it was on. So the footage is gone. So now I have proposed an idea. I have executed on it. I have failed miserably. I have lost money. I now have to call the client and apologize. And you know what she says?
What?
I don't want to ruin this relationship. I like you a lot, but you're going to have to figure out how to make that up.
Wow.
So I now go into debt.
Yeah.
Borrow money.
Yeah.
From a literal lender.
Yeah.
To be like, I have to now hire someone else, not this same person, to go back and fix what I did.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely.
Because this is a real scenario.
Yes.
And people stop. They say, oh, okay, well, I guess it wasn't for me. I guess it was a sign. I guess, that
that wasn't
because
for
it
me.
didn't work out. That they talk themselves out of it.
Because as I'm walking through it, I'm like, this is a thing. This works. I know this works. I literally am going to have to feel my way through it. And boy, does it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yep.
Real bad.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to be able to deliver an outcome that everybody needs. And as soon as I hung on that, it just rolled. Wow. It just snowballed. Wow. It took forever for me to get my money back. I remember there was a year where my CPA was like, this is cute. You made 6 figures. Do you know how much you spent in operating costs? And you actually did not pay yourself at all. So whatever little money you've been skimming by on food and rent, that's not even your money.
Right. That ain't your money.
That's not your money.
Absolutely. Wow. No, that's real. And I think that these are conversations that really should be talked about more because this is what you really need to be focused on.
Yes.
Pivot, being open, learning your clients. Who are you serving?
Yes.
What problem are you serving? Again, whether it's real estate, it's business, whatever it is, it translates.
Yes.
It translates all across the board.
Yes.
1000%. What else? Anything else that you feel like, here's what I wish that somebody told me when I made that transition?
Stop worrying about the people that love you supporting something they can't understand. So
that's good. That's good.
Now, and I'm sure you experience this like 7 years later when I hear people that are in the new space that are maybe trying to transition side hustle to full time, or they just have this really great idea and they can't find the support. Your loved ones are not your clients.
Mm.
They are not your clients. Nor are they going to be your biggest fans. Lend them the grace that they are not your biggest fans and they are over concerned and probably not supportive because they can't support what they don't understand and because they love you.
Yeah.
Because they love you, they are projecting their fear onto you. They could be internally freaking out. Like you and I both know we've had parents or siblings or mentors that have freaked out because they're like,
you did what?
If you screw this up, I don't have the money to get you out.
Right.
So please don't do this.
Right.
Because my body says I could never do that. And if you screw this up, I can't get you out. So you are like at zero.
Whether it's a parent, for me, it was my mom. For you, it was your mentor because they don't feel like they can do that. Mm-hmm. They also are projecting it on you that you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Fast forward, and I know this because I have now the experience in years, and so do you.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this part. I'm in year 7. My dad has just kind of come around now that he lives with me.
Yes.
Months after living with me and said, wow, I get it now. You work really hard. Like, I'm really proud of you. This is crazy. And it's so cool that you work from home like this and you really be on your stuff. And why? Because he can see it.
Yes.
And my mentor now went from who was the person I was like, hands down, the most scared to tell. Because I was like, she's Italian and she's short and she's loud. And it was not going to be kind. It was not going to be like, are you sure this is good? It was going to be like, what the fuck? It was all of that.
Yes.
You're not making the right decision. This is the stupidest effing thing you've ever done. To now, she always says a thing that is kind of similar to like, she's in her 40s and she'll always say, I don't know if it's your generation or it's just something about you, but you are just a risk taker and I am not. I am not that. But now she kind of holds it to this. It's kind of her way of complimenting me. She always be like, you're such a risk taker. You just always make bold moves and I could never. Yeah. I like my secure space. I don't know how you operate like that, but it's really cool to watch.
Yeah. My mom says the same thing now too. She very much is like very supportive of the moves I make. And even, sometimes when I'm making really, really big moves, like I hear her be like, are you sure you want to do that? And but she has seen me be able to do so many other big things. So she doesn't go all in like she used to and like just straight up tell me no or I shouldn't or whatever. Right. But then even myself, it's not that I have boundaries around, but I have to just really kind of just give her a little bit. But I have to adjust my expectation.
Yes.
Like I'm not expecting her to understand why I should do this, or I'm not expecting her to understand why this is important to me,
or to be as excited as me.
Right.
That ain't happening.
Right. Like even it's not even like business. It could be like leisure things. Like, man, I want to go and I don't know. I'm gonna go to Europe for 3 weeks. Why would you want to go to Europe for 3 weeks? Why would you not? Right. What? Like the conversation
you don't want to do, Mom.
Right. The conversation is like very different. And it's like, hey, where calling me? Hey, where you at? Oh, it's a Tuesday. I'm about to walk into the movies. Let me call you back. Wait, hold on. Why I need to wait to go on the weekend? Or why I can't go on a Tuesday? I want to go on a Tuesday because ain't nobody else there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like so many people that are caught up in that lifestyle, rat race, whatever you want to call it, they impose artificial rules. They operate in a place of rules. And I think what happens is once you activate that muscle and you create something from nothing and you like make that leap into entrepreneurship and you're here and you're living this life, you begin to break down the rules.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily live by other people's rules.
At all.
That's actually why so many, I feel like, investors homeschool too, because it's like, why do I need to live by your rules?
Correct.
So if I want to go to the movies on a Tuesday, why can't I go to the movies on a Tuesday? So
you know what I also found about the rules that I think is really interesting is, so I have a master's degree. So I have like enough school.
You're educated.
I have enough school to like have experience, time management, expectations, all the things. What I think about the rules, what I would consider the rules that I think is really cool is like what has been transferable for me. So I still work off a 9-to-5 day. Yeah. However, I get to enjoy the flexibility of like, there ain't gonna be a time that I walk into a store on a weekend or a night and it's too crazy. And I'm like, what am I doing? I could come here anytime. On a Thursday morning. get out of here. Like,
I am not getting my nails done on a Saturday or Sunday.
Anything that feels inconvenient, I'm like, no, ma'am. This is why you became an entrepreneur. Get out of here and make your appointment tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Yes.
Like,
and then like in 2021, when nobody was working, I was like, why y'all here? It's Wednesday. Why y'all not at work? Why are y'all here today at 10 o'clock?
Exactly. But I also enjoy the transferable skills that have been like the ways in which I was taught to lead, like KPIs with my team, you know, quarterly reviews, learning how to create a team culture.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like how to create a team culture and have my team invested in the vision.
Yes.
And the ability and space I have to be transparent with my team as a leader. And the 9 to 5 works really well for me because I do have a child and I have a family that lives with me. And it's like, so I can always tell them when I'm free and like between these times, scram, like back off. But in functioning that way, and it's always, and you have the luxury to create your own rules. Like I will have clients to this day that do 2 things that are a big no-no for me. It's like, you can text my phone, but the minute you start giving me like to-dos and deliverables, I'm like, hey, I'll bottleneck this. So please email my project manager and copy me. Do not expect to I'm not the through line. Don't expect
to leave this with me.
Don't expect to leave this with me. I have created a world where I can screw that up and I know I can screw that up. So please get me out of it.
My clients, y'all know the same thing.
Go around me.
Don't DM me. Don't DM me.
There's too many ways of communication.
Email hello@onlyanlivingit.com.
Redirect you.
Yes.
And when someone texts me on a weekend or calls me on a weekend or calls me after 6 p.m.
Or calls me at all. Why are you calling me? What? Do not call me.
Is there something I can help you?
We got voice text. Do not call me. I'm probably not gonna answer anyways. Y'all know
her phone be on do not disturb all the time.
She was at Starbucks trying to call me.
Important questions. Important. She will ask me a question that needs an answer right now, and I'm like texting her, and it's like Erica's phone's on do not disturb. I'm like, girl.
I'll be needing to actually like answer my phone sometimes. I'm like, please don't call me. Text me, and then I will call you.
I will call you back because when I know the status and importance of it, I will call you.
Yes.
But I think the rules that I learned in corporate and the skills, hands down the skills, prepared me and were absolutely transferable. I got to take all of that in a bucket and decide, what did I want to keep?
Keep this.
Yep.
Delete
what did
that.
I want to throw away?
Yep.
And what did not work for me? And I think like one of the things that is really big for me, this is totally personal, do not take this with a grain of salt, is like I have a team that I allow them to time manage themselves.
Yeah.
You do not have to work certain hours.
Right.
You need to work an amount of hours.
Right.
And there are deliverables and deadlines, and you know what you do. You know when your meetings are. You know what is required of you. You know my expectations. There is a guide on all of this and an SOP.
Yeah.
Whether you choose to do it at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. is your
let's make sure it's
business.
Done. Yeah.
Correct.
For sure.
And I always tell my team the values of like transparency, honesty. I can advocate to a client on your behalf, but I will not apologize later.
Yeah.
So you have to be transparent with me so that I can, convey those messages. So I think just getting to decide what you want to keep, what transferable skills, I absolutely can tell the difference when I am working with another entrepreneur
who has never been in corporate.
Who's never been in corporate or never been to college. I'm like, woo!
I was gonna say
the lack of organization and the prioritization and just I
was gonna say that. I see that in the agent world. I see that all across the board. And what I love about this is, again, if you're here and you're in the corporate world and like, don't think your experience is in vain.
Oh my God.
Like it really will help you later in life, because folks out here who do not have professionalism. Professionalism to me isn't like what you look like. It's how you carry yourself, how you handle different situations, how you respond to different situations. And this is actually why I want my kids to be able, because they all work for, our company. I want them to be able to go and work for someone else for a period of time, learn in a different setting.
Yes.
And then if they decide to, create their own companies from there. Because I really feel like that is so important.
It's so important. There's a level of something that I enjoy internally with my team. Yeah. Is that it is not just do the work. It is not just do good work. And there's a word for this and I don't know what it is. So I'm going to call it intuitive. But it is also, we serve these clients with a goal and a mission in mind. Yeah. And that is constantly reiterated to my team. And I love that. Like I will bring what we call a portfolio of a client to my team.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, hey, here's their message, here's their mission, here's what they do. And my team will be like, oh, this will be so exciting. Like, we can't wait to help get that message across.
Yes.
Like prime example, we're booking a client right now that is the largest African American breast cancer awareness group.
Wow.
And they want a podcast. And I'm like, oh, I will take this show and run. And like my whole team's like, oh, this is our impact client of the year. Like we get to do this, this, and this.
Yes.
So but being intuitive enough to have some foresight for the client. And so like if I'm on a meeting with you and you say, okay, this was exciting. I have a quarterly meeting with my team next month. So I don't know if you and I can meet, but we can meet in April. Yeah. I'm going to get off and get with my project manager and be like, hey, Erica Brown has a meeting with her team. Yeah. They're probably going to cover data. Can you send her a timeline, a wrap up of all her data and like everything that these are the questions she's going to want. Someone's going to address with her for her to continue to be our client and want to work with us. So can you just get her that information, please, in advance? I think there's just been this level of, as a service-based business or a problem solving, you have got to be a little intuitive on what good work looks like. And that's not just delivering the thing you promised. It is over delivering. It is having a little foresight for your client. If you keep in mind, women, you should be really good at this because we do this in dating all the time. You should be a little intuitive enough to have the foresight to be like, we've seen this with AI, we've seen this with social media, we've seen this in everything that is great. If you are doing something great, there will be a competitor right behind you, a recreator, somebody that's going to do, especially in real estate. I can't even imagine there's a million of y'all. That's all I see on the internet is that there's always going to be somebody better coming behind you. So what are you going to do to differentiate yourself in the market, create some level of uniqueness, provide a beautiful experience, like get the feedback that you need and receive constructive feedback.
Yes. I think you just posted about this recently.
I just posted about this. This has been my golden ticket. And I remember the first couple times that I got harsh feedback from someone because I work with really high level clients. If you've ever taken the DISC profile, I always say I 100% work with Ds.
I'm a D.
All my clients are Ds.
You didn't even know that.
Huh?
But you knew. You didn't.
You definitely a D. Y'all are only 11% of the world.
Wow.
Yes, they are the dominants. They are the like, I have a vision. I know what I want. I need people to execute said vision or bring the vision to life. So I know that. So they give me hard feedback and it used to tank me. I would be like, but I did this and I did this and I tried so hard and they don't understand it. This was my vision, but they don't get it. And now I'm like, it's just so, I want it.
Yes.
I'm like, please give me the feedback. And I can even tell in the like, Zoom call or in person, I'm like, I can look them in the eyes and I'm like, tell me everything that we did wrong.
Yes.
Even if it's a little bit, tell us everything.
Because why?
It's like a bucket. I can take it all. I can put it in a bucket. I can take out what I know is true. And there has to be a level of honesty, transparency, and understanding and putting your ego aside of where I'm like, and I know to go straight to my project manager because she's honest too. Where I'm like, hey, for example, Erica said all these things. We know this is true. We missed 3 deadlines here. Like it gives me all these opportunities to lay out problems to solve. Efficiency opportunities, systems to fix, and things that we just didn't see. And you can't see everything. And I think this is so important.
I like it. One, it helps us to grow. And what's the worst thing is that when you lose a client and you had no idea. We see it all the time as real estate agents, as even investors, where you go to your client and it's time to renew the lease and they're like, no, I'm leaving. And you're like, wait, what happened? You're like the best tenant. What can I do to get you to stay? They've already made their mind up. They're leaving. Right. And so that's why it's important to get feedback.
Growth, opportunities, things I just didn't see. Where I'm like, and sometimes it's something where I'm like, wow, I just didn't see that. I did not see that because I'm not having the client experience.
Yes.
You are.
Yes.
So how valuable is it that you have an opportunity as a business owner to be able to garner feedback and be like, please this should cost money. This should literally cost money because it's like the equivalent of what a mentor would say if they did an audit on your business. Is that your best person to give you feedback is your client. Now, I'm not saying that everything is true. No, sometimes there's level of projection. Sometimes
there's unreasonable expectations.
It's uncommunicated expectations. It's they didn't hit their goals or their things or meet their income.
Sometimes they didn't read.
They didn't read the contract. They didn't read the email. Or they have some personal thing going on in life. They're a thing. So it's I always take things with a grain of salt. But if you can be open, honest, and transparent with yourself and have the right team members that can be a mirror for you of like, we did that. We definitely did that. I look at where my business is now 7 years later and I'm like, this is literally because we stayed committed to good work.
Yeah.
We constantly took in the feedback and evolved and made adjustments accordingly. And I have a great team.
Yeah.
I have a team that I have sold the vision to over and over and over again, transparently, when it was turbulent, when it was rocky, when it was great, when it was beautiful, when I had a mission in mind to elevate voices that don't typically get heard, and everybody's on board.
I love it.
And I think this is the whole point of the conversation, is that this is a painful, rocky, beautiful journey that you just have to be willing to, like, it's always figure outable. It's never as bad as you think. You will become the world's best problem solver.
Yes. Yes. World's best. World class.
World class problem solver.
Yes.
And you get to create your own rules.
Yes. You create your own rules. You don't have to raise your hand and ask for permission. And I think this episode is amazing. They don't teach you this in school. You get your business degree, get your MBA. You got an MBA. Did they teach you this?
No.
Okay, great. You're a great test case.
No, they did not.
You know, they're not talking about this on the blogs when you Google how to start a business. If you know someone who has a business, who's thinking about starting a business, who has a side hustle, you need to share this episode with them, because these are the things that I wish I would have known, like the real things beyond make sure you have 6 months living expenses, all the things, if you're going to make the transition.
Absolutely. And I'll leave y'all with this. This is something a woman actually told me in my corporate job. And the further I have gotten, the more I continue to believe it to be true. And I know that there is someone out there right now that hears this. You feel this way, but you're fighting it. Allow you to conceptualize or give you a vision that's not already yours. You just have to decide to walk into it.
That's good.
And you're not envisioning all these things, opportunities, passionate, purposeful things that you could be doing, places that you could step into for funsies. Like, they are things that are actually for you.
Yeah.
You are just battling with fear, the idea that you have to create something out of thin air. And I guarantee you, at your corporate job, you have had to create something out of thin air.
Yeah.
Your entrepreneurship journey will be a series of you building the table.
Yeah.
Flying the plane on the way down, figuring it out, finding a problem that you were like, I'm about to makeshift a solution, and if it works, I'll make it better.
Yes. Yes.
And so it is, the vision that you have is not in vain. It is all for you. It is just, allow these things that seem very big and paying your bills, and I get it. Allow yourself the opportunity to dream past the possibility of easily getting those things out of the way and figuring out on the way down.
I love it. So good. It's great. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Like, this is amazing. Like, for real, this is a masterclass.
Yes.
And what it takes to really start a business.
Yes. Don't say we told you to quit your job though.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't say that. We did not say that. But thanks so much for watching another episode of Wealth Within Reach. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay. Also, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, give me a 5-star rating. Let me know. This episode is different. Like, I personally haven't heard an episode like this before. And I love podcasts. Let me know how you feel about this episode, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye. Are you listening to this and you're confused because you don't know what your next step is? You don't know what your next step is because you don't know what you need. Guess what? I got a resource for you. I created the Investor Roadmap Quiz to tell you exactly what you need to do based on exactly where you are. It's just a list of a few questions that's going to actually map out and tell you what you need to be focused on and what you need to be doing that will help you get to the next level. It only takes like 2 minutes. It's phenomenal. If you're looking to figure out your best next step, I want you to go to owningitandlivingit.com or go to the show notes and look for the Investor Roadmap Quiz, because I want you to figure out what your best next step is. See you soon.